Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Diana, so let's get right into it. What I want to talk about today are the pros and cons of living by yourself. Of course, some of you already live by yourself, so you kind of already know, or perhaps you've just recently moved out and you're living by yourself and it's all brand new, so you probably want to stick around for this. And perhaps you live with families, so you're planning on moving out at some point, or you've been living with roommates and you now want to try the whole independence thing, right? So stick around and let's talk about it. Well, first of all, I can say that I am probably an expert in the whole living alone situation, simply because I have been living alone for quite some time. I am a sort of an extroverted introvert, so yes, I enjoy my quiet time, I enjoy my alone time, and it's very peaceful. But I also enjoy group activities and hanging out with friends and being out there in the world with everyone. It's quite heartwarming actually. So yeah, so I get it. I get the whole gist of being a human being. So let's start off with the cons. The cons of living alone. Well, the most and I think the biggest one is bills, right? The bills are all yours. Surprise! Everything you have to pay for, everything you have to pay for by yourself, right? So you have lights, electricity, the rent, the gas, whatever it is that is being sent to you through a bill at your new place, that's exactly what you're going to pay for by yourself. Unless of course you have some amazing rich parents who will send you money every time that your bills are due, then it's a whole different story. But if that's not the case, like most people, then you're going to have to pay for everything by yourself. Congratulations, you're now alone. But I would also like to add that that could also be a pro because it teaches you how to be responsible. So it's a good and bad thing depending on how you take it. And another thing that I think is a con is actually living by yourself. I know it's a little strange, right? But if you are someone who enjoys the company of people 24/7, then this might be a bit of a challenge for you because there's no one there, it's just you. So if you need something right away, you're not going to get it because no one is there for you in your space at the moment. Of course, you can call, you could also talk to neighbors, but when you're by yourself, you kind of have to figure things out by yourself. And again, that could also be a pro. And even if you do invite friends over, they end up going home, or family over, they still have to go home at the end of the day or at the next day. So at the end of it all, you're in this all by yourself. So that might be a little bit hard. So keep that in mind. And one of the things that I actually saw in me is that I am more introverted than I am extroverted, so the solitude is it's everything to me, right? I enjoy it a lot. But I did have my sibling come and live with me for 30 days because I hadn't done that in forever, and I got to live with somebody and I realized that I still have a lot of work to do when it comes to personal skills. So being able to communicate with others and see how other people live, it's a whole different vibe. So yeah, I definitely learned that living with people is a great way to actually learn and improve on a lot of skills. And when you're by yourself, you actually, if you just move out without learning a lot of these things before, then it becomes a little bit difficult and harder on you. So it's like you're not developing in that way because you're constantly by yourself. So I guess that's also kind of a con because you don't have anyone to practice on. You don't have anyone to kind of learn from and see that, oh, okay, they do things differently and they do things that way. So maybe I need to figure out how I can compromise my ways so that they too can enjoy that space. But when you're by yourself, it's basically you, and then when someone comes over, you don't know what to do because you're not used to having people change up your space, right? It's a little different. So that's that. Another thing that I think is a con are chores. You have to do pretty much everything, okay? I mean, aside from the bills, now you have chores. Perhaps when you lived with somebody helped you, or you took turns either doing the dishes or washing laundry or cleaning the house or something. You had that sort of partnership happening, and now it's all on you. You have to maintain everything. We'll talk about the pros when it comes to that, but yes, it's basically all on you. So you want to be ready, then you want to learn that stuff before you move out in case you don't. Either way, you will learn it later on once you do move out. Now let's talk about the pros. I think the pros outweigh the cons because I didn't really name all the cons, but I also didn't think them through. I did not think them through. But let's talk about the pros. One, you're living by yourself. You have the freedom to do whatever you want, and there's no one to tell you anything, right? So you have this. And of course, if you have roommates, it's the same thing. But I mean, literally, the space is yours. If you want to dance in the living room and make your way to the bedroom, you're not really in anyone's way, and no one's in your way. So you get to do all of that all by yourself. It's pretty cool. Another thing is that, yes, you do have time for yourself. When you have friends or family around, you kind of do things together pretty much a lot of the time. So when you're by yourself, you're more likely forced to actually find solitude, and you're more likely forced to find something to do and to listen to your thoughts and to listen to what needs to happen. You can do anything, like I mentioned earlier, and you have that trait because you're by yourself. Another pro is that you learn a lot of things because there's no one around to help you with anything. You kind of have to figure it out, which is pretty cool because now you can, perhaps if you buy furniture, you're going to assemble it yourself. Of course, you could call someone to help you, but you can literally just do it by yourself. There's an instructional book, and sometimes it's difficult, but if you're someone who doesn't mind following instructions and taking your time and knowing that things will take probably a little bit longer than normal, then go for it. You have that freedom and that time to yourself to be able to do that. And another thing that is a pro is that you're really not looking after anyone. So you're not really worried about anyone. You're not anxious about anyone because there's no one in your space. You do think about others and you pray over them and you do all the other things, but in your own space, when you live alone, you kind of, okay, I'm gonna make my breakfast and I don't have to make a big meal. I could just eat something small because now it's just me. Or for lunch, I'm going to eat something completely different from what I would normally eat for lunch because I'm by myself and I don't need to make large portions of meals. I can just eat whatever at any time. Of course, you want to be mindful. And also, what I've noticed is that when I live by myself, I'm more likely to be more conscious about what I eat. And I think that's because you're more likely to cook your own food, because either you're going to go to the restaurant, and you don't really want to go to a restaurant by yourself. Most people don't. It's not a terrible thing to do, but most people don't want to do that. So it's like, okay, you're gonna stay home and you're gonna make yourself a meal that is simple. You don't have to use so much, unless of course you just love to cook, then that's gonna work out for you. And also another pro is that you learn to take care of everything. You learn to be responsible, like I mentioned. That's a very key thing. I think when we're younger, we don't really pay attention to how things are done and how things have to be done. But once you're by yourself, you actually do have that responsibility. You're like, oh, I have to pay these bills on time. How can I budget this? How can this happen for that to happen? For that to take place, I have to do this. And so you learn a lot when you're by yourself, which I think is pretty wonderful. All right, so there you have it. If you found this helpful, yay, I'm happy. Give it a thumbs up. And let me know, of course, if any of those things were helpful for you. And also, if you do live by yourself, write down some pros and cons that you've learned along the way, or you've noticed along the way, you've taken into consideration while living by yourself. I would like to know also. And I know that I just gave you just a snippet of what some of the pros and cons are, but I know that there are way more. But yeah, just wanted to let you know a little bit of that. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you next time. Bye.